Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ashton College's live online info session for our meditate for our mediation continuing education course. I'm your host, Matthew. Joining us today is our instructor, Sharon, Maggie from Ashton College's admissions team, and Rika, who's going to be on the back end and making sure that nothing breaks while we're doing this session. On that note, Sharon, how are we doing?
I'm well. How are you, Matthew? Always good to see you.
Yeah,
Maggie
yeah.
and Rika.
Yeah, it
hmm
has been a moment. Obviously, we love having you here. You do a lot of these info sessions for us, basically because you teach a lot of courses in this space for us, and we always love having you. So, for the benefit of anyone joining us today or joining us in the future who maybe hasn't seen all of the live online info sessions that we do, can we give like a very brief background about yourself? I know that like we probably ask you to do this a lot, but for the benefit of everyone who's attending for the first time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for those people who don't know me, my teaching background really began in about 2001 in adult education for the workplace, and then it expanded to providing training in the public sectors and in community universities and colleges, both in US and Canada. And my dispute resolution, which is the mediation subject part of this course, really began in 1999.
All right. Wow. Thanks. 1999, starting to date me there. All right. But no, no, we love it. We love it. Many of our faculty like have all sorts of like experience. They've been doing this forever. They're still doing it while they're teaching with us, which is something we love to hear and see. I know that you do a lot of this stuff in like your day-to-day sort of thing.
Absolutely, yes, both dispute resolution and human resource.
Yeah, so being a mediator, kind of helpful.
Yeah,
All right. Now, just so we have some context, for the purpose of this course and this session, what's the definition of a mediator? What's their role? What are we all going to say this is what a mediator is as our starting point?
sure. So it's actually quite extensive, the role of a mediator, and it'll take just a couple of minutes to explain. So, a mediator is really trained to provide a facilitated dispute resolution method or process that's geared toward lessening or ending a dispute. This means that they're trained in uh, conducting violence identification and reduction methods with the parties even before we get them all in the room, right? We have training in preparation of our parties. We also are knowledgeable and trained about keeping things confidential because mediation is a confidential process. Only those who are involved or by law are required to know about it know about the mediation itself. So mediation really ensures, the mediator themselves really, we make sure that we have no interest in a benefit of an involved party in the mediation so that we can remain neutral. You'll hear that word a lot when you hear about mediation. And then we also would make sure that we have no interest in the outcome of the mediation itself, even including that an agreement is made. So, using trusted mediation models and theories, we as the mediator facilitate discussions between disputing parties in an attempt to resolve the dispute itself or to improve and maintain communication, sometimes to improve or maintain a relationship between the parties, or to uphold cultural and contractual obligations. So if the mediator is still with the organization, or if the clients are still a client of the mediator will likely follow up with participants to ensure not only that any resulting agreements are upheld, but to make sure that further mediation sessions aren't needed in order to continue the good relations or the contractual obligations. Yeah,
Okay.
so that in complete is the role of the mediator.
Yeah, definitely a pretty full role to have. Definitely something that you don't necessarily think about being an ongoing. Like when I think mediation, it's always been like, well, this is like the one time they have you sit down and talk it out, and then hopefully you're not brought back. But obviously, a mediator needs to be able to like manage an ongoing sort of thing. So definitely good to have that clarity in that context before we start. Now you've touched a bit on it here and there about what some of the most important skills are. Obviously, confidentiality, being able to like maintain that neutrality. What are some other big ones?
So definitely in-depth listening. We have to
Mm,
be able to summarize what's going on for people. We have to understand what their interests or what their needs are that need to be addressed in the mediation. Problem solving skills or solution building skills is another big asset of the mediator. The ability to interpret contract or legislative information is also very important, especially for workplace or court related mediators. And then file management and report writing skills are also very major for the mediator. And in addition to the skills, some of those other aspects that you talked about or characteristics is certainly having knowledge and skills in the use of the mediation models themselves, understanding the theories. They also have to be skilled in the ability to maintain neutrality and confidentiality throughout the process. So accidentally stepping out of a room and making sure that they're not mentioning anything to anybody outside of that mediation process or whoever they have to report to, very important. We do also have to be knowledgeable about mental health concerns and the skills on how to address the psychological and emotional upset during the mediation process. Mediators, we also have to have a sense of the effect of the outcome of the mediation process. So not only are we interested in the parties' well-being while they're in the process, but also the effect of the agreement or the result of the mediation itself.
okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But obviously, like the next big question I have is like, what's the difference then between mediation and what we'd consider conflict or dispute resolution?
Right. Yeah, that's a question that I hear a lot. So mediation is actually a form of conflict resolution or dispute resolution. It's one of the theories and models within that whole sphere. So we have it's a method of applying skills, concepts, and ideas to manage or disarm the conflict or to manage entrenched positions or complex or severe enduring practices or social conflict. So it can really be from an at the table mediation session between two people who know each other well, all the way into a community setting where there's a social context.
Yeah, okay. And like it just being one sort of like not all conflict resolution might necessarily be mediation, but mediation is conflict resolution.
Mediation is one aspect of
Okay.
this sphere or options of conflict resolution. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying there. I don't want to necessarily like reduce it because it obviously mediation is part of it rather. Anyway, so what professions are going to benefit the most from taking this course?
Yeah, again, because it's just one aspect within that whole dispute resolution spectrum. Human resources professionals would benefit from it. Any other person who's called to assist in either a mediation or dispute resolution awareness or process itself. So that can be people such as ombuds or peer mediators.
Mm.
They can be policy and procedure writers or community and cultural allies, even.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely a lot of places also like nice little shout out to all the various ombuds people like that are out there, like not always a profession you hear come up. Very crucial that they have these sort of skills and can be that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, in general, like if you are have a potential to be like in between two conflicting parties probably helps to have these skills, or you would maybe learn something from taking this course if you're about to step into doing that, whether for the first time or step into a higher level of responsibility of that.
Right. Or even supporting people in understanding the model or supporting them in accessing those services.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about like some of the big terms we're going to need, who's going to benefit from taking this course. How about we talk a little bit about the general structure and some of the main topics we'll cover?
Yeah, so the structure is online lecture and participatory discussion. We are also going to do a little bit of the build. My goodness, I'm getting tongue tied today. So we are also going to be doing some of the skill building within the class setting. So some of the topics that we cover do include identifying causes of conflict, diagnosing workplace conflict in particular, because this is more geared around the workplace,
Hmm.
but those can also transfer into other types of conflict that happen. Identifying the issues and needs of the individuals, as I mentioned before, that's a really big skill of the mediator. Different conflict styles and the characteristics, and then some of the ways that we can help to move people off of their position within the mediation process are going to be important. We talk about applying the problem solving approaches and how that sits in the mediator role as an assistant to the people in the
Hmm.
conflict. We talk about leading challenging conversations. That's a really big one. And then establishing how to deal with the anger or the emotional upset, frustration, silence, some of these types of responses that people just naturally have when they become triggered or when something's not working well for them. We also talk a lot about identifying opportunities for resolution or methods of resolution in dealing with different types of disputes and conflicts. And then we also really delve into the essential skills and the techniques that we would use in resolving a conflict.
Okay, right on. Definitely good that we're covering all of that and like addressing everything. I especially love how like the course is designed to give some weight to like dealing with like managing how everyone's feeling afterwards because it's one thing to come up with a okay, we're doing this. It's another to like sort of manage also as much like how people are going to feel like when thing to make sure everything is handled in a fair and egalitarian sort of manner. We did get an audience question. We're going to pivot just now. So from Nicole, who joined us over Zoom. Hi, Nicole. If someone takes this course, are they impasse? Are they now a certified mediator?
Not through this course specifically. So if they have an organization or an association or a course that they are looking to apply to become certified with that group or with that court, then they would please connect with our student services who will connect with me. And then I will find out what that association or court requirements are so that we can try to make sure that that's a match before they register.
Of course, yeah. So definitely something that glad we got that out in the air right before we started. Then, well, got any
Yes,
further rather.
absolutely. Yeah, because each type of association and legal identifier, they each have their own requirements to be certified. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that can vary wildly depending on where you are.
absolutely. Yeah, and the group that you're hoping to certify under or to be accepted with. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely good to make sure we know that. Okay. So, all right. Now we're going to pivot back to like some of the more questions I prepared for us today. If you're watching and you have a burning question, by the way, feel free to interrupt, say something. We'll do our best to get to that like as soon as possible. Generally, whenever we finish whatever question answer we're in the middle of. Okay. So, looking at some of the course topics, students are going to learn about mediation concepts. So, what's a concrete example of this?
So, a concrete example of a concept would be interest-based mediation.
Okay.
Another concept might be structural conflict, grievance
Okay.
mediation, facilitated approach, evaluative concepts. We'll also kind of cover the concepts of power and control and how we deal with that within the mediation model specifically. We do cover transformative and restorative concepts as well, because that is another area that the Canadian government and a lot of Canadian society and culture really do look at as a mediation method. Um, we will cover a concept of peace building technique as well, and then the theories and development of dispute resolution methods. So we really cover a lot within this course.
Okay, yeah, no, that's definitely a lot of things to cover. Turns out there's a lot more different types of mediation than you necessarily would even think. But like hearing you mention, it's like, well, yes, structural conflict is definitely going to be different than a grievance, for instance. Like,
Absolutely, which is different than restorative concepts.
yeah,
Absolutely, yes.
yeah. So it's not a one size fits all. It's more about having a toolkit or maybe some general practices, but also acknowledging that the specifics are going to change.
Yes, the specifics, the models, and the theory. Absolutely.
There you go. Okay. Now, next question. Obviously, we've all been sitting at home or sitting in a comfortable place in front of a computer for the last year. Setting communication has become a reality because of, well, the thing. Communication in a digital setting can also be rather tricky. I'm sure we're all aware of this at this point. Will we learn online mediation techniques in this course?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll cover what some people might call online mediation or telemediation, digitally based mediation, and we're going to be covering them specifically in this course using the Zoom platform. There are other platforms out there, but we teach using Zoom, and so I'm going to be able to show everybody the background of Zoom and how to make sure that you're having that secure and confidential space in order to do the mediation, how to use breakout rooms, how to use waiting rooms, all of that kind of good stuff. So we'll definitely be covering how to do um, online mediation using the Zoom platform.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good that we're covering it. Definitely, like, just especially like things are trending upward, mostly knock on wood, all of that. But like digital communication never going away at this stage. Going some degree of it will always be there. So obviously, very good that it is a part of this course, something that students are going to learn.
And if you're having a grievance in a workplace, or if you're having a disruption in a workplace that can be settled through mediation, or even if you need your child's parenting plan changed, in order to get that done, it does require mediation in a lot of settings. So we don't want those parties to have to wait and suffer through. We want to be able to facilitate that process for them online.
Yeah, of course. Definitely something that helps. Definitely something that we're going to be doing a lot of. Okay. All right. Just doing a quick check. Okay. Cost. Yep. We're good on the audience question front for the moment. Don't worry. We'll get to our admissions portion towards the end of this uh, end of the prepared material. So another thing, sort of that I think we've kind of sort of touched on, but maybe not really. Uh, Cultural, socioeconomic differences, big factor for conflicts and disputes. Is that on the syllabus for this course?
Yes, absolutely. We will lightly cover cultural, religious, political, socioeconomic concerns as they are often a source or how they can affect a conflict or a dispute. And then, really, though, for more in depth insight into these types of concerns, such as those socioeconomic and cultural, religious, political, I really recommend our diversity and inclusion course. We really take a deep dive into all of these types of concerns and how they relate to how we operate as people together.
All right, I can see the little shameless plug right there, but no, definitely like we have a course for that specifically where we do a lot more of that. So yes, we're gonna do a bit here, but there's another place that does that specifically.
Absolutely. Yes. We can't cover it all within the mediation because we're really going to be focused on mediation concepts and skills in this one.
All right. Yeah, okay. So, what do you think students are gonna like the most about this course?
Personally, I think that people appreciate the learning about, um, I think probably the biggest one is the surprising causes or sources of conflict. That's usually the aha or the wow moments that I get for students in the class. And then also how complex resolving conflicts really can be, because as humans and as societies, we are complex, as well as some of the systems thinking and some of the systems behaviors that we wouldn't even consider as being a part of the conflict. So I think that those are really going to be interesting to students. And as we dive through that and as they figure out, oh yeah, this does exist uh, within my current workplace or within the current platform that I'm looking at doing some mediation in.
Yeah, yeah. Like again, this course, like this specific course seems to be tooled for more like giving you like the tools and maybe some experience, just more the confidence in dealing with these sort of things and knowing that you'll have that from this class and some of the things you'll learn. Definitely something that would make me feel a lot better walking into a role where I am resolving problems that are happening.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, obviously, you've taught a lot of classes with us, had a lot of students come through you at this point. How would you describe your own teaching style?
So I am very much an experiential learning teacher, and
Hmm.
that means that students learn about the knowledge part or the information, and then they discuss to discover for themselves what that means in their own context. And then they really have the opportunity to apply that knowledge and skill within the model of the course. So yeah, everybody gets to not only figure out what we mean by surprising causes and sources of conflict, but they actually get to discover for themselves what that means in their own context.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, sort of like get a chance to like try and do. I mean, probably not to the extremes that some situations can be, but within a classroom, like it's one thing to talk about mediating, it's another to actually practice mediating.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully none of these case studies or practice reach a horrible like fever pitch, but definitely good to practice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then, what are your expectations of the students who are enrolling in this course? How much time will they be spending on any assignments or reviewing materials out of class? I'm hoping that there's a little bit to this one.
Yes, absolutely. So students will likely spend 2 to 3 hours a week outside of class, just really sharpening their knowledge and practicing the skills that they learn in class so that the next session they're really prepared and ready to go.
Yeah, like definitely good to know because this is not a course where you can just like sit down, turn on your computer at the prescribed time, sit there, stare at your screen, and then forget about it until the next week. Like you have to learn. You have to show up.
Yeah, it's active learning.
Yeah, okay. So obviously, mediation is interaction. Is there a lot of interaction during the classes?
Yes, absolutely. So we do a lot of co-discovery
Hmm.
within this class. So some of the tools that we have available to us are through chat box and Q&A. We have reactions in Zoom. We'll have full discussions where it's 2 to 3 to 5 way discussion in the class itself. And then we have discovery and reporting periods within the class where I'll send students out to do a little bit of information gathering. And then the next session they'll come back and they will discuss and report back
Hmm.
on that topic to all of the other students. And then depending on the class size, we'll use breakout rooms and whiteboard discussions and all of this kind of thing just to make it interesting, interactive enough, and so that people can feel confident in what it is that they're taking away.
Yeah, definitely. And like this is something that like I mean, obviously any sort of teaching, you need to have like that sort of interactivity. This especially, it's kind of hard to mediate like just a written case study sitting there by yourself. It's definitely so it's nice to know that there is that sort of like push to get everybody to go back, learn, report what they've learned to everyone.
Yeah, although it's theory based, it's also skill based. So
Yes.
we need to make sure that we're practicing that throughout.
Yes, and honestly that would be like, kind of it would definitely be, like, one thing to sit down and just read and then somehow never be able to practice it. That sort of defeats the point of mediation. So what does success look like in this course then? How is a student gonna help themselves succeed?
Yeah, so they definitely want to attend and participate in class sessions as much as possible. They really do need to have an interest in resolving conflict and building mediation skills for themselves. They do also need to have an interest in learning about the theories and models that have been developed for mediation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wanting to learn more, always a great place to start. Always something that helps you like retain more, get a little bit more out of this. Okay, so a lot of different educational paths out there, a lot of places to take a course like this. Why should students choose to take this specific course with Ashton College?
Well, there are several choices for becoming a certified mediator or mediator, and a lot of them are based at the organization themselves.
Makes
So
sense?
many of, yeah, and many of these courses, which I've been a student of many of them, as you can see from my bookshelf
Oh
behind
yeah,
me,
not just
they
for
they
show.
right. They do a lot of the organizational or certification based programs. They really focus on one model or one isolated theory. In this course, we're going to be able to explore a variety of theories and methods and models so that the students really themselves can determine which method or model suits their own values, ideologies, their organizational needs, or community structures and culture.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like yes, definitely this is definitely you're right that like some organizations will have their own thing, but like if you need that sort of introduction or that starting point, here's a great place to start.
Yeah, if you don't know whether you're interested in an interest based model or whether
Mhm.
you're interested in an evaluative model, or yeah, so this is a great place to discover, oh, do I appreciate this style of doing things, or am I more feeling confident at this style of doing things? And then what's going to fit within the organization or where I want to apply it, whether that's in their community, in their volunteer space, etc.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Okay. All right. So, do you have any final words or advice or thoughts you want to share with everyone before we wrap up all the questions I've had prepared today?
Not really, except I think I heard about a 10% discount. So that might be interesting to some people. And then, of course, there are no required materials. There's no really costly textbook or anything that people need to purchase because we are looking at several theories and concepts. Then all of the course material they're going to get in the class.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon, for answering all of that. Okay. So, anyways, for now, we're going to pivot to Maggie, who's going to answer all the admissions stuff. Obviously, you've touched on it a little, but there's a bit more.
Of course.
Sure. Hello, nice to see you, Matthew.
Hey.
And thank you very much, Sharon. I appreciate all your words pertaining to this course. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie, Admissions Officer for Continuing Education. And Ashton College offers the mediation course that will primarily equip students with skills and the ability to guide others in dispute resolution, which will be carried out live online. Students will learn how to deal with emotions, how to overcome intense negotiations, and gain the ability to lead parties to a desired outcome. These are just few of the subjects that we will be covered in this course. The live online class will start on June 10 till September 9, 2021. Again, that will be on June 10 till September 9, 2021, and webinars will be held on Thursdays from 4 till 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The registration fee for this course is $799. And as Sharon mentioned it earlier, being a part of the June intake, you can apply the 10% off the registration fee when you register. No admission requirements and a certificate of completion is given at the end of the course. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me via email at ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca or by phone at 604-891-1256. Back to you, Matthew.
All right. Thank you, Meg. Always a pleasure. All right. Rika, now we've had a couple of Zoom questions for today, obviously, but we also stream this on Facebook Live. Anyone from there have a question for us?
Sure. We do have a an interesting question. Someone is
Okay.
asking, are there specializations for mediators? I guess I'm imagining some would specialize in family law, or it exists for family law firms. So yeah, are there any specializations for that? Oh, Sharon, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. There we go. Yes, there are definite specializations for mediation. So whether you are in family law and you're a family law mediator, you would even specialize within that realm for divorce mediation versus the separation piece. In family law, there's also parenting plan mediation. There is elder care mediation. There is mediation for special needs within the family. There is another source of mediation, of course, wills and estate settlement mediation. And then in the workplace, depending on the complexity of the workplace, there's industry-based structures. So in the Canadian government structure, there's a mediation model and concept to be used within that context. But then if you also say work with Canada Parks, you'll probably have access to up to 3 different types of models. So even within the workplace realm, you would have maybe a peer mediator. You would have an ombudsperson likely. You may have access to an informal mediator and then a formal mediator. So absolutely, there are specialties galore within the mediation and dispute resolution area.
Okay, wow, that's a pretty comprehensive answer, and gives me confidence that if I'm dealing with a mediator, they are definitely the person for the job.
Absolutely, yes. If they're trained for your area of expertise or practice, and they have a little bit of experience, then they're your right person.
Yeah, because they probably do exclusively that type of mediation.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
very few of us generalists, and the only reason that I can even consider myself a generalist is that I have over 20 years in learning and practicing each of the models.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. All right. So I believe that concludes all the questions and audience-related matters that we have today. If you joined us on Zoom Live, if you joined us on Facebook in the future, Facebook, like please know that you can contact us at ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca or call 604-891-1256 if you have questions after the session ends. If you're watching us from on YouTube in the future, hello, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. But same goes for you, ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca or call us at 604-891-1256. We also have a toll-free number 1-866-759-6006. Sharon, thank you for joining us. Rika, Maggie, thank you for making this happen.